Oh, fuck me, I don't even know what that. I haven't even said anything yet, but fucking. I'm wild. Do you know, I'll talk about it in a minute. So, hello, folks. Welcome back to the Bromance podcast. It's been a while. For any of our about 5 or 6 listeners that we had, and people's been asking when are we going to do some more podcasts. It has been a while. So, we're all in lockdown now. So, why not just record a few podcasts, get a chance to catch up with some people, some friends, and have a chat and have a bit of a yarn. So today I've got one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Allan Davison from A. Davison Health and Fitness. Thought it was quite poignant to get Al onto the podcast as the first one, just as we are all sort of locked in the house, just to talk about what we could be doing to stay fit, to stay healthy. We'll see where it goes. We'll start off just talking about a bit of health and fitness, and then, knowing me and Al, we may stray a little bit, but that's okay. I'm sure. Just stick with us. That's what these long form podcasts are all about. It's just about digging in deeper and getting a good chat. So, Al, welcome.
Can I just throw something out there, Robert?
Yes.
We're wearing the same fucking color T-shirt.
And
And this was not pre-planned.
Just a couple of good tasted men. Just a couple of handsome, good taste, good looking man.
I can pull it off.
Yeah,
I can pull it off.
Cool. So, yes, let's start. Don't call me Robert, but you're gonna call me Robert the whole time.
What's your name?
Call me. I don't know. I've been called worse, to be fair. So yes, give us a bit of a background, because obviously I know you well, but people that might be listening might not know you as well. So give us a bit of a background about you and who you are and what you do.
Right. So, background about me. For those of you who don't know me, I have been a PT or coach for 15 years now, just approaching 15 years. Do most of my work up in Belfast and online with my global programs. Check them out. I do work mostly with females and especially mummies. Quite well known up in the Belfast area for working with mums. Mostly focusing just kind of fat loss, fitness, that type of thing. Also spent 3 years teaching all over Northern Ireland, actually teaching some trainers for the government. So that's kind of where I'm at, and currently just finding myself in this lockdown along with everyone else, just trying to kick on and make the most of it.
Cool. So apologies, you might have heard that my WhatsApp dinged. I've got the WhatsApp app on the computer there. So
Tut.
I know. In fact, let me just shut it down. So I think I'll just, judging by your background there, mate, I don't think there's anybody better, certainly that I know anyway, to help people with a bit of fitness. And I know you're very good within our chats and things like that, with our lads chats on WhatsApp. And we like to wind you up sometimes as well. And it's always good fun.
Fucking triggering me every day.
You're easy. It's easy to get you triggered, to be fair. So first thing then really is, how you finding the lockdown? Because it's a big difference for everybody, and it's a big difference for a lot of people. Most of your day was probably spent in a gym with clients. So talk to me a bit about that first. How you finding the transition of going from being in the gym all the time to being at home?
Well, first of all, my kind of lockdown experience has just highlighted the fact of how boring my life fucking was to begin with. All I really did was just take one building out of my life, and that was it. And that was the gym. So lockdown has been a slightly strange experience because of the way it has been with everyone else rather than myself. I was fortunate enough to have a good online, kind of growing online business from last year, which meant it was relatively seamless to try and move in-person clients to online. The biggest change was not being in the gym. Like, I was there from like 6 o'clock in the morning on some days, and that to me kind of the biggest change was then routine, being out of my routine, always being in the house, waking up later, that type of thing. So there's been a few advantages and a few disadvantages, which I'm sure we'll talk about throughout the course of this recording. But the biggest change for me was loss of structure
Yeah.
to my day. Yeah. What about yourself?
I don't know. Like, I'd moved home working. I was working from home a little bit before this all kicked off anyway, so it's not really that much of a change. And I don't know. I didn't. I'm a bit of a what's the word? I'm not an introvert at all, but
Yeah.
I like my own company, or I like just sitting in. Like, I like a Saturday night where I sit in with my wife and watch a movie, and I like hanging about. You know, I've got a 2-year-old daughter, and she's nearly 2, so spend a bit of time with her as well. So
Yeah.
it could be worse. The way I'm sort of looking at it, and there's challenges every day too, and everybody gets to see, and you get bored sometimes and things like that. But I'm trying to keep busy, so I'm trying to do things like this.
Yeah.
Playing a bit of Xbox, you know, and spend a bit of time with the child, with the wife, cooking, doing a bit of
Yeah.
cooking. But the way I look at it, we're not, you know what, it's not World War One or World War Two. We haven't just been
Yeah.
told, right, off you go to the trenches here. You have to sit in your house. Now, look, I know some people have, you know, been hit financially with this as well. A lot of people, which is shit. Of course, it's
Yeah.
shit. Um, but and it's one of the things I want to get to talk about, and we'll talk about it a little bit later on, is the opportunity here for people though. And you know, yes, we can look at the negatives, and we can think, and there's a lot of negatives in it, but let's try and look at some positives out of it too.
Yeah.
You know, and look at what we can do to get our days in and things like that, and to keep ourselves sane. But
You see, I think that it's on everybody. Obviously, I know we'll talk about it more, but when you say there about positivity and negativity, obviously a lot of that is stemming from news, social media, conspiracy theories, what we Frank has to say down the road, what his next door neighbor has to say. But
yeah,
I think it's on everybody to kind of speak up and share kind of positivity and try and not share so much negativity. Like there's fucking negativity everywhere about it all, and I think people feed into that type of thing. And I'm even seeing like other trainers kind of being like some trainers don't know their ass from their elbow anyway, but there's some fucking people putting out there like on like stories or Instagram or whatever social media, and it's like, if you make it through a day, that's okay. That's a success. It's like, no, it's fucking not. You're there. Your job and my job is to try and be positive for people, or be like, people would look to you for advice or even just motivation, positivity, and to look to those people and have the same people turn around and say, oh well, if you make it through a day, that's successful. It's fucking not. If you are just making it through a day, then your biggest issues and worries aren't your fucking 5K time or how many press ups you're doing out the back. That's not your biggest worry. You should seek medical fucking help for that. But it's, I think that in the role that I have as a personal trainer or as a coach, I see myself as one of the people that shapes the environment for the likes of my clients and the people around me, such as my friends. So I'll even just use us, instead of going on to a lads chat and being all fucking doom and gloom, I've been on the lads chat the past couple of weeks saying, do you just want a 10-minute workout? This is what I'm eating today. What are you doing? Because your environment feeds how you essentially feel. And if these people that are supposed to be kind of uplifting and help making you feel good are turning around on one hand and telling you, oh, it's all right if you just make it through a day, it's fucking bullshit.
yeah,
And then on their next slide are telling you what home workout to do.
yeah.
They fucking don't know what they're at. It's crazy. It's crazy. But
We've
yeah,
triggered you already, Al.
fucking triggered
I didn't
already.
even.
You
I didn't.
have. I forgot what I was even talking about there. I was just like,
I
ah.
didn't even try. But no. See, you're saying there about you putting. I think that's a big one. Actually, see, putting. You don't have to be a trainer, by the way. You don't have to be a personal trainer. If you're in a group chat, the group chats are probably what's getting a lot of people through this anyway. A lot of
Yeah,
group chats, there's like wee quizzes and stuff going on, and there's one's going on in the rugby club chat at the minute. With you have to pick where the nipples are.
Ah, yes. I see that disgusting one yesterday.
Or everybody knows the stuff that goes on in group chats. So, but one of the things about you're saying there about you're putting your big red head up after you've done a 5K run, sort of inspires other people. Like for me, then I'm sitting going, right, well, I'll put on now and I'll show that I've done a workout as well, and or I'll put some nice food up as well, and it sort of motivates. We sort of motivate each other. That doesn't mean too that you can't have a day where you go off the rails a little bit and get drunk, or
that's a really good point. I want to just pick up on that, because also stemming from what I last said, just because we're talking about health, fitness, how we're dealing with lockdown and stuff, let me just make it clear that I am 100% aware that one, not everybody is into health and fitness anyway. Some people couldn't give a shit. That's fine. Each to their own. Two, some people are struggling hugely mentally with everything that's going on. And in some cases, yes, if they make it through the day, that is a bonus. That is fine. But I'm talking, that to me is a medical or, a specific or special circumstance. I'm talking about Gen Pop here. I'm talking about general population. And yes, some people get mentally, but to me, those folk who are very struggling mentally now, that is the medical field, and that's not something I'm going to get into. So when I say stuff like that, I'm not exactly talking about people that have diagnosed depression or anything like this and are currently on medication, because in that sense, then each day they might not know what mental state they're going to be in. But on the back of that, I'd also like to encourage anyone that is kind of find themselves in that poor mental state, that this is a prime time to actually, look inward and focus on yourself, but also utilize one of the best medicines known to man: exercise and nutrition.
Do you know? But, see on that. Sorry to interrupt you, but see on that. See you saying that. I think some people think that's bullshit, that exercise helps or eating well helps. And I think
you know what they're called? What? Fucking idiots. Did you hear that loud enough?
Yeah.
Idiots, or hang on, there's another word. Dickheads.
Right.
They're fucking idiots. These people, this hurts. They're fucking idiots. There is so much, even if you don't believe in science, if you don't believe in God, if you don't believe in fucking anything, it's like the bare basics: move and eat well. That's what fuels your body. If you put the wrong fuel into your fucking car, what's going to happen when you drive up the road? It's not going to end too well. So if you fuel yourself with fucking booze, chocolate, and crisps, you're going to look like booze, chocolate, and crisps. You're going to feel like that gives you shit.
I really like booze, chocolate, and crisps sometimes.
Well, so do I. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things.
But you're right. And you see, like, people like you, friends-wise, are always talking about how it'll make you feel better. And I watch your Instagram, and you're always putting on saying about how it'll make you feel better. You see other people, people with big, massive followings, like millions of followings, and they're all saying it works. It works. Like, I'm a key example. I do it, and I exercise every day. There's days, especially now, I have to exercise because I know I will feel better, because I know it will make me feel good. And if I don't exercise, I just don't feel as good. I just feel a bit shitty.
Yeah.
And if you're somebody sitting listening to this that doesn't exercise at all, and you're sitting going, and again, not clinically diagnosed as depressed, but I'm sure it would still help. But you're just feeling shit. Everybody knows the feeling. Okay, I suppose I don't need to explain it. But if you're just feeling I just feel a bit wank today. Get off your arse.
Yeah.
Do some squats, body weight. Just do something. So see on that, just to segue in then. What do you think right now? With what's going on, gyms closed, rugby clubs, football, hockey, gymnastics, all that, it's all closed. You can't do it. How would you suggest that people stay fit right now?
Well, first of all, for those that actually want to stay fit and do something about it, our choices are now greatly reduced. And before we get to the getting fit part, I actually spoke to you about this just yesterday or the other day, just in one of our chats. Before you even think about improving your fitness, what most people need to do now is cover the activity that they have now lost from their daily life by being on lockdown.
Right.
So, and I know different people have different circumstances. So I'm aware that some people have kids at home now that maybe wouldn't have had before because they were at daycare or something. You've got people that are still out working, and you've got people that are working from home. So there's a good mixture here. So first and foremost, let's think about the people that are now on lockdown and are working from home. They're not going out to work, or else they're not working and are just to stay in the house or do their or exercise. So these people beforehand may have had an active job. Some may not have. But even at the very least, people that didn't, let's go at the bottom end of the scale, people that don't have an active job, they're at a desk for 8 hours a day. They still had to, walk to their car. They still had to park and then walk from their car into work. They had to do piss breaks during their job. They had to go and get their lunch. They may have walked to the local sandwich shop to get their lunch and then do the same on the way back home. And then at night time, they may have went to play rugby, or they may have even went to meet a friend for coffee, something basic. Doing the shopping or calling the shop a couple of times a week, that's all taken away. We're all now moving within the confines of our own home, which is drastically reduced just that general activity. Have you ever heard of NEAT?
No.
No, NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Not that you need to know that, but pretty much all the little bits of activity. For example, me talking with my hands, that takes energy. That's NEAT, but it's not a planned exercise. So all of our NEAT, you may have heard of the likes of NEAT Up 24/7, the likes of Darren, I think, what's his surname? Darren Cartal or something. I don't know. James Smith's wee body. Yeah, NEAT Up 24/7. That's all drastically reduced. And that's a fair portion of the calories that we burn each day. So first and foremost, what we got to do is stop the rut. We got to cover our bases for activity that we've missed. So getting out and going for a walk, like during today, is probably covering that. Then we focus on getting results or getting fitter, trying to drop body fat, trying to maintain muscle mass. That's all just slightly further down the list. And for that, obviously, then we are, stuck with our options. First and foremost, if you didn't buy any home workout equipment about 6 months ago, you're fucked.
You can't get anything. Like I was on trying to get some I wanted some bumper plates. Bumper plates are expensive.
Yeah.
And I wanted to buy some bumper plates there the other day. I had a look and I was like,
yeah,
surely all the bumper plates aren't sold.
Yeah.
Unless you're willing to spend 250 quid on 20 kilos.
I think you get wee fucking Bob from up the road who hasn't worked out in about 30 years, has some rusty weights he found at the back arse of his shed, and a bench that's held together with sellotape, and he's looking about 600 quid for it. 10 or a kilo. Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
People are paying it. That's a mad thing too. People are paying it. Do you need equipment?
You don't necessarily need equipment, but I do feel I should give a shout out to Gainforth here, who it's a lovely fella, Brendan, who I taught how to be a trainer. He sorted me out with some equipment, so fair play, Brendan. Check out a gym. Yeah, so you don't need equipment. However, expectations, that's what we need to watch here, expectations. So let's now shift this on to gym population, so people that regularly train. So you might have Jim who has been deadlifting like fucking 200 kilos and benching 3 dwarfs. It doesn't matter. He's now not going to seriously expect to make the same gains using just body weight or fucking tins of beans. It's not going to happen. So it's more about managing expectations and clients' expectations and anyone who I'm talking to with what they think they can realistically achieve with regards to reaching their goals. Again, with regards to working out, using the same principles before, the first thing I'm telling everybody is, this has been such a huge change for everybody, is instead of jumping in and thinking, right, I'm gonna I'm going to do this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 and start changing absolutely everything, is to focus on those basics first, the underpinning foundations. Focus on stopping, let's say, fat loss, very popular goal. Stopping any weight going on to start off with is going to be difficult enough in the current situation because people are fucking like Northern Ireland, it's sunny. There's only two things we do: barbecue and fucking drink. So stop any weight going on to begin with. Then start chipping away at their goals. Limited equipment, that's fine. If you've got some equipment there, yeah, you can still kick on. If you don't have any equipment, you can perfectly blast out some body weight workouts. Only thing is, however, on body weight workouts and home-based workouts, there is an incredible amount of people will always want something for free. So here, that's perfectly fine. They'll bounce on the YouTube, they'll get whatever on their TV and they'll work out. That's 100%. If you're wanting to get a sweat on, wanting to burn some calories, you crack on 100%. There's also a lot of trainers that will buy some software and pre-packaged programs and throw them out there and try and charge for them. There's very little structure or anything involved in these things. This is all perfectly fine if all you want to do is keep yourself ticking over, get a sweat on, and burn some calories. However, if you want to actually make progression throughout this time, you still have to adhere to the same principles that you were in the gym or playing your sport. You have to have progression in a program, otherwise it's not going to go anywhere. That's akin to standing still, wanting to get over there, but not willing to put one foot in front of the other to get there.
Right.
Those doing the likes of the free ones off the TV or different workouts every day, no real structure involved, would be akin to stepping forward slightly and catching up with the other foot. Thinking about it a bit, stepping forward a wee bit, catching up with the other foot, instead of going one foot in front of the other like that. You'll get there where you get from A to B a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And people are soon realizing that. There's just no real kind of structure involved in all these online boot camps and stuff. Just for getting a sweat on, burn a few calories.
And look, there could be a lot of different people looking to do this. There could be you're just you're saying you specialize with mums. There could be a mum who just wants to stay somewhat. Do you know what? I'm seeing a mum that wants to stay active. I'm sure any mums listening to this will be going, I am active a lot more now than I with the kids now all the time in the house. So
I'm gonna get hated on here. Unfortunately, they fall under the bracket of, yes, you're on your feet all the time and you're busy, but you're not really going to count that towards your output. It's not going to cause a massive.
So what I mean is that would maybe cover your what you're calling your NEAT, isn't that right? Your could it if you're running about after a kid? Like I'm not, like I could. Steph probably is, but I'm not.
Running about after a kid, like, don't get me wrong, right? I 100% know how tiring it is if you're especially doing it on broken sleep and run about after them all day. And of course, it depends on what age your child is, but every mom is going to feel that tiredness. And I've been on my feet all day. I've been doing this, I've been doing that. That's fine, but you won't have been burning a lot of calories. I also, because I'm saying this because a lot of them overestimate. And when you overestimate this stuff, you leave yourself in a bit of a hole because you're then wondering why you're not getting results. It's because you've overestimated the amount of energy that you're burning on a daily basis compared to what you're bringing in your diet. Now, that's also similar. I would get similar kind of lines from the likes of, say, occupations where you're on your feet all day. So like a nurse, a teacher, that kind of thing. Where, yes, they're on their feet all day and it's fine and they're tired, physically tired by the end of it. But you haven't actually physically burned a lot of calories. Just, like hairdressers up being on your feet all day, that's fine. Yes, the likes of, a busy mom running about after like 2 toddlers would of course be physically moving a bit more than, say, for example, a hairdresser who is on their feet, but just, within kind of like 2 square meters. And so calorie needs there are a bit different. Then you also flick it to the other side of the coin and you've got those that are physically moving around, people that may have laboring type jobs, and their issues are just slightly different. They may be like more physically like knackered at the end of the day, compared to the likes of the mum, the hairdresser, the whatever, who, even though they're on their feet, will probably be more mentally tired, mentally drained from dealing with a wee toddler, dealing with a wee toddler, but also having to run a household if hubby is out at work, or trying to maintain some form of social contact with the
Or
likes of
getting
friends,
their
family.
head put away because hubby isn't at work anymore. That's the worst part.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think Steph
So
hates me now because I'm home. Maybe not. Hopefully not. But yeah,
yeah,
I'll be annoying them too.
but it's easy to see how they feel tired, but they physically haven't burned a lot of calories. They're mentally knackered. And when the brain is obviously expending a lot of energy and burning a lot of energy, it's going to start turning itself down a little bit. And our bodily processes start to actually then turn down, for want of a better word. For example, an example I would use with a lot of clients as well is, imagine that wee dimmer switch and your brain just turned itself down. We then conserve our energy. We don't expend it. We don't feel like doing a workout because we're tired. We'll not reach across to get the remote, even though it's only on the other seat, but we'll watch a shitty TV program as well. I think of a hangover. You've had a stinking hangover. You're sitting with your hangover watching the TV, and you'd watch it for 3 hours straight and not change the channel, even though you hate what's on, simply because the remote is 2 meters away. You can't be fucking hours doing it. Your brain's just went, don't fancy doing that. It's just one of those things. It's more mental fatigue rather than physical fatigue, depending obviously on what they've done.
So what's the moral of that? So if you're feeling fatigued, even again, maybe more if you were out at work or running a bit after the kids, especially. But for me anyway, it would have been, I'd have got home from work and I'd have been busted. I work in an office in my day job. So I would have got home from the office and there's times where I was tired. And I know what I used to do whenever I got in. I would have got in and went, this needs to fucking happen. Like, I need to do this now.
Yeah.
And I was tired and I wasn't as tired afterwards. So my question to you, an expert in your field, is for me or for anybody listening, I'm getting home, forcing myself to do, because that's where you need to be in your head, is this needs to happen today. I am doing this. Write it down. I set myself challenges. So I set myself, for the next 30 days, I'm going to work out and do this, 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 and this. So then I'll go, because I'm competitive. So I'm like, this is a challenge, and I'm competitive. It's against me. I'm not competing against anybody else. But because I've wrote it down, I have to do it. I owe it.
Yeah.
I have to get it done. So you do it anyway. But one thing that always gets me, and that I don't understand, I don't understand the science behind it, but I'm coming home, I'm tired, I'm going, fuck it, I'm doing this. And I go out and do it, and I don't feel as tired. In fact, I feel like I have more energy. Now, I might be busted straight away, but 15 minutes later, I feel like I've got more energy. I feel happier. I feel like my mood's lifted. But I've done something that has exerted myself. I've done something that should make me more tired. That should make me feel more like shit because I was really tired. So why is that? Why do you feel like that? Why do you feel better after doing something that you would think would have the opposite effect?
First of all, to answer your question, neurotransmitters in the brain. However, I don't want to dig too deep into that, because I know a lot of people probably won't have the want for that type of knowledge, in terms of they couldn't give a shit what neurotransmitters get released in their brain about making them feel good. What I think would be a better way to approach it would be, first of all, understanding that most people won't be as headstrong or competitive or challenging to themselves as what me as a trainer would like them to be. Or I would think you would take a lot of that from your sport as well, that there's that wee bit of something in us that makes us do something. If we're sticking with general population here, what we almost need to do is, when I'm thinking exercise or diet, you almost need to get them to fucking trick themselves into doing it, or finding subtle ways in their current lifestyle to fit it in that doesn't add anything, any form of stress to their diet or daily life at all. And then by getting them to do it and seeing a result, it's that positive feedback loop they do something, they see a result, and they'll keep doing it, or more likely to keep doing it.
So how can they trick themselves? How does somebody trick themselves into doing it?
Well, maybe not the right term to use, me saying trick themselves, but let me give you an example. Let's take the busy mum with 2 kids at home. Hubby is out working, and he's NHS or something, and they're at home, right? In a normal circumstance, for me to say, right, most people will go, oh, exercise when they nap, or wait till hubby gets in and do this. By the time hubby gets in, she's probably absolutely knackered, as you say, mentally drained, and won't want to work. Less likely to go, I need to make myself do this. However, if we turn around and say, okay, right, during the day, what age are your kids? 4 and 5. Okay, well, why don't we get together and do a bit of playtime out in the garden, but make it like a mini sports day for the kids? I got one of my clients at the minute. She goes out with her son, and her son, full of energy, he's always on at her to go out, and sometimes a little hard to handle. And it was like, well, why don't you make it a game for him rather than you doing exercise? It's a game for him, and he's occupied, he's burning energy, he's doing something for good for his health, but on the back of it, you're piggybacking on it because you're doing it for you. So, you're saying to him, right, let's see how fast you can run from this lamppost to that lamppost. And he's sprinting on. And he's like, come on, mommy. Whereas she's just walking it, a bit quicker or something, those kind of things. Or a wee mini sports day out in the back garden, getting activities to do that actually are activities for the parent as well. But, increasing that need, so to speak. There's also things like maybe getting them involved in a wee bit of a workout. To them, it's a game. For you, it's a bit of a workout. I've seen you out the back with Ruby, and maybe getting her, do like a wee mini thing, like, oh, going down her slide or whatever, and you're doing your workout away. It's more about keeping them occupied than anything when it comes to being a parent. But getting them involved in what you're doing is not adding on anything to your day in terms of time, but you're getting them actually involved in the process, meaning that you're spending more time together. You're actually doing something that's useful, and you're doing something that's positive towards your goals rather than negative.
Yeah.
Okay. Other wee things like diet. Let's go towards the line of diet at the minute, because a lot of folk having like barbecues, drinking and everything. It's about telling people you can have your cake and eat it. You can, but you just need to do it smartly.
I fucking love cake. I fucking love cake.
But let's take even cake. Have a slightly smaller slice. Okay, are you going to have a beer? Well, have a bottle instead of a big tin. Are you going to have a drink of wine? Go for
Tell me, how the fuck do you expect to sit in the back garden in the sun, have a bag of tins, if you can't have tins? You don't have a bag of dumpy bottles. For fuck's sake.
No, I don't even mean dumpy bottles. Normal bottles. Normal bottles are 300 or 330 milliliters. And for that, for a bottle of beer, you're averaging about 120 calories.
Bud Light is delicious, by the way.
Good.
Gives you good burps. There. Good burps.
Bud Light, Rockshore, Coors Light, all of those are under 120 calories. Whereas if you go for bigger tins, bottles, the tins are 500 mil, I think. Pints are 630 mils. I can't remember.
You probably drink as many bottles as you would tins as well. So if you bought 12 bottles and you bought 12 tins, you'd probably drink all, like, say you're going on a garden sesh, you'd probably drink all 12.
You brought all 12 with you.
If you've brought all 12, yeah. But there's a lot more. What you're saying is there's a lot more calories in if you've got 12 tins. I'm saying 12 like an absolute piss. Well, I suppose 12 is not the piss head. That's the old man. And he said 24 tins against 24 bottles. If you drink all 24 bottles, yeah, but you'll probably be just as steaming. That's the thing.
Here's the kicker, though. The kicker relies on not making the biggest changes, but seeing results. So if someone hasn't had to add on any extra time to their day, if someone's just doing something slightly different to an activity that they're already doing, or changing something slightly within a diet that they already have, rather than trying to change their diet, and they see a result from that, Then you can take this one. Action leads to motivation. And everyone suffers from motivation from time to time. Some don't have any at all. People seem to sit around and wait on motivation coming up, getting his dick out and whacking them around the face with it. It doesn't happen that way. Okay. It's, you got to take those steps first. So let's say you were morbidly more overweight. Okay. Right. Say you were morbidly overweight, right? But then say, for example, you had your exact same diet. I told you, Rob, don't change anything in your diet. All I want you to do is now add in some exercise. Technically, you've added in exercise, you've kept the same diet. That's now a deficit for you. You've created a deficit for yourself. Then we can start tidying things up. And say you said to me, right, Alan, I'm going to have 6 beers tonight. And I said, well, how often do you have 6 beers? And you said, well, do you know what? It's in this weather, I've been having 6 beers every day just for toxic. And I said to you, okay, you can still have 6 beers, but I want you to change those beers to Rockshore. And say you were maybe having...
Instead of 6 stout?
Yeah, something like that. And I said to you, right, change your beers to Rockshore. And instead of having your big bag of McCoys and whatever, I want you to have maybe two bags of Quavers instead. So there you've had crisps, you've had beer, right? But you've had less calories across all of that. You've done some exercise, you'll get some results at the end of that week.
Yeah.
And you've still done everything. And then that action leads to motivation. I'm not saying you're going to drop a load of weight around by the end of the week, but you've now seen that you feel better because you've had the exercise. You haven't missed out on any social things because, well, you may now, but let's say the situation wasn't here. You'd still be, say, out with your mates, you'd still be doing, they wouldn't know any different because you're still having beer. So no one's going to be like, oh, just have another beer or do this or stop you acting a wanker. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
You're still doing it.
You do it to me.
While I'm secretly. But the thing is, right, let's put it in the context of this lockdown. Say, now I've been having these online quizzes and having beers. So we can still have that. I can still do what I want. I can still, other people do what they want, but make those better choices. Once you then get results, seeing that you can get results with only making small changes spurs that person on to actually, people make more changes themselves without even having to rely on someone else to tell them to change it. For example, dropping out that takeaway at the weekend because they got really good results that week. They'll go,
if you're eating takeaway at the minute anyway, I think it's mental eating takeaway right now. What if somebody's like, yep, oh, there's a lovely chew into your takeaway. Fuck it. There you go.
Yeah. I can see, I know I like folk that are doing it to support local business, and those that have to have their takeaway. People are in habits. There's some strange habits go on. It's fine, have a fucking takeaway if you want, but it's like, it depends. And if you're wanting to reach goals, what most people do is they have a flexible type diet during the week, and then Saturday I'll treat myself to a takeaway, and then just wipe out the whole deficit they've created during the week. And then they are the people that lose a bit, gain it back, lose a bit, gain it back, and then ultimately go, fuck this, because I haven't seen, because they're busting their gut through the week and then treat themselves at the weekend. And it's like, why not just like sort your shit out? Why not track for maybe a week and see what the fuck you're eating and then know where you're at?
So what's the best? So, and I'm joking in case there's any takeaway owners listening going, fuck you, Rob, slobber about takeaways. I read a thing online saying I don't think there's any evidence at the minute showing that there's any danger. I suppose if there was danger, the government wouldn't let us have takeaways anyway. So it looks safe enough, to be fair. I just haven't had any because I'm
if most people seen what was going on, and put it this way, see, when I look at some of the establishments that a fucking takeaway comes from, it's like, you would have to be mental to even want to eat the food that arrives from what looks like Satan's arsehole. It looks shit. It's like they would not, right? Some of the places, and you're familiar with some of them, if that was a clothes shop, a computer shop, fucking a place where even if it looked like a place like a wee spa or something to go in and get a bit of grub or necessities, you wouldn't even go into it.
But
Yeah,
sometimes it's really, really delicious.
sometimes it is. Depends on how many pints you've had.
I shit you not, right? I shit you not. This is true story. I have had food poisoning from the same place twice. So I got food poisoning, and the sick to me for me to date, touch wood, like, but the sickest I've ever been is when I've had food poisoning. If you've anybody that's ever had proper food poisoning will understand this, that you're fucked. It just knocks you off your feet. You can't, and it just hits you. Boom! Right, I'm sick now, and you go and you boke and you shit, and you're fucked, and you're lying in the fetal position. You're crawling to the bathroom, and you're boking and shitting everywhere, and you're just bollocksed.
Yeah.
And I went through this and I swear I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it here. I was so sick, it's the sickest I've ever been. Got better, got drunk, and then went back to the same place and got food poisoning again. And the worst part about it is I have since then eaten from the same place again. But anyway, I'm digressing a little bit here. So tell me this. So I'm sort of thinking while you're talking and you're talking about what the one thing that's sort of resounding in my head is how. So you're saying eat a little bit less, but how? What's the best way to actually track it? What's the best way to say, right? Well, this is because I could, like, if it was me and I just left it up to myself and my own devices. On one day I could eat X amount, and on the next day I could eat a lot more in
Yeah.
terms of calorie count from one day to the next if I just wing it and just let it. And it all comes down to snacking for me. I'm a monster whenever, especially if I'm sitting playing the Xbox or something with the guys, and I'll end before I know it, I've cleaned off a couple of bags of crisps or chocolate pretzels or something. What's the best way to monitor these calories? So if you are wanting to stay fit and healthy and not want to roll out of lockdown a big fat mess, what's the best way to monitor that?
Right. So as a direct answer to your question, and then I'll go through a few things, is nowadays it is infinitely easier to know what is in your food compared to when I started in the industry. Like I fucking here's an example. This book, 2006. I used to have to look through things.
Oh,
Have
to
you
get
seen
your
that?
calories? Yeah.
To try and look to see what, because people were like, I couldn't ever turn around to a client and say, go and buy this book, or go and buy, like, I have a few of them knocking about, go and buy this book. And like, bear in mind, like, most people aren't even on the likes of Facebook or anything. I don't think it even existed back then. It was like Bebo or
Is that
something.
a tiny book, or have you just got really big hands?
Massive hands. That's why I only like that one. I'm only joking. That is a wee book. It's thick, but wee, like most fat.
Like mine?
I'm only joking. I'm only joking, by the way. I did have you in mind when I said that.
Oh,
But here, right, so yes, wee book, but you can never say to someone, go and buy this book, write down the food you're having, look in this and tell me. So it was up to me to get their food that they had written down and to try and see. So now it's infinitely easier. We are ultimately a push button society. Everything is made easier for us. And it's got to the point now where everything is that easy to do. You want to wash your clothes, put it in and push a button. You want to dry your clothes, put it in and push a button. You want to make a fucking bit of food, put it in and push a button. Like, there's even cooked rice now in a bag. We just put in and push a button. We're a push button society. So when you ask anyone to really go above and beyond pushing the fucking button, it gets met with resistance, right? There's numerous apps. There's the likes of NutriCheck, LifeSum, and MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal being the most kind of, like, say, popular one. These things even have barcode scanners on them, where you pick up your food, you scan a barcode, and it puts it in for you. You can create meals. Say you had the same breakfast every day, you can actually create a meal that's all in there. Instead of having to put all the ingredients in separately, you just add it once. You can create recipes, everything. But to go back, that was a direct answer to your question in terms of monitoring calories. But does everyone need to monitor this stuff? No. For a lot of people, most people, they would do better by tracking their calories. But let's take someone that has never tracked their calories before, never really kind of stuck to any diet trend before. Your average individual. So your average individual will, let's say, and I know I'm kind of being very kind of like generalized about this, but we don't know who's going to be listening to this. Say wee Suze wants to drop a few pounds because she is going to book a holiday as soon as the lockdown's over, and she needs some sunshine. She wants to get out. The first thing she's not going to do is track her calories. The first thing she's going to do is probably cut out all the shit, the crisps, the chocolate, whatever. Maybe go walking with Barbara from around the corner, join a group, a slimming group or something, or stick to a particular diet that she knows the name of. She'll look it up in Facebook or whatever and get information and try and follow it. This is where it gets very confusing, because some may track their intake, either not like what it says or find that it takes more than 2 minutes to put their food in and then not use the app. But they'll save themselves a lot of time and heartache by sticking to it for more than maybe a week, right? Before I get to that point about actually utilization of the app, first thing that these people should do is to touch on what I said before, is to look at their current diet and identify, say for example, fat loss, identify where they can substitute certain foods that they're already having to have less calories. Changing your Coke to a Diet Coke or Coke Zero, drinking the smaller beers or less beers, whatever. Instead of having an actual takeaway, have a fake away recipe, because it's mostly the cooking methods that are used in these places that bump the calories way up, not the food itself. Same with restaurant food, by the way. Ever wonder why your steak tastes a lot better there compared to home?
I just thought I was shit at cooking.
That too. But yeah, so generally addressing something like portion sizes, eating like a normal human, eating more veg, addressing those underpinning kind of foundations. So you're more veg, more protein, getting a good dose of your healthy fats, watching your carb intake. You can still have carbs, but if you're being a lazy shit and you're not moving, then you don't really need as many as someone that trains.
So talking about so you mentioned they're getting a good dose of healthy fats, but that's probably something people might struggle with, because, well, first and foremost, for years we've been told that fat's bad, fat's bad, fat's bad. So now you're saying to me, get a good dose of healthy fat. So what does a healthy fat look like?
Healthy fat, like scientific diagram?
No, just no for you're just for just your average
food fat. I was about to say like triglycerides and stuff.
No.
Right. So we still had a bit to kind of cover with the tracking, so I'll get back to it.
Right.
But fats, right?
I'll write fats down here, and we'll come back.
No. I'll tie it in with it, because I wanted to kind of talk about actually tracking, because when you're actually tracking, what people think is that because the first time that they're tracking everything for the first time, and it is a ball ache and does take a wee bit more time. But your diet 1 week isn't going to be like Italian 1 week, and then African the next, and then American the week after that. You're going to be having the same 20 to 30 foods, maybe just in different combinations. So once you've added them to your MyFitnessPal, they're already there. Now, what you can then do with the likes of these apps is you can adjust, say, for example, your macronutrient intake, which is your big nutrients, your protein, your carbs, and your fats. You can see how much you're getting in. For most people, this would be called a balanced diet, to see how your diet is balanced up. To then into the fats. So we can then see how many fats we need, or how many carbs we need, how much protein we need, and get the correct foods in to make that up. So for a healthy fat, to answer your question, if you're not allergic to nuts, basically if you're not allergic to any of these things, you can have them. If you're allergic, don't. Just FYI. You do this at your own risk. So the likes of nuts and nut butters, a lot of people see them as a protein source. They're not. They are a fat source, just for the added bonus of having a bit of protein in it. You've then got the likes of avocado. You've got your oily fish like your mackerel, your salmon, that type of thing. Um, eggs as well. Eggs have a good bit of fat
So
in them.
that's a good one. So eggs, what are eggs? Are eggs protein or are eggs fats? What?
Eggs are a fat source with the added bonus of having protein. Basically, if you're wanting to take a food as is, so for example, just a protein or just a carb or just a fat, for the likes of your fats, you're talking the likes of oils, spreads, etc. For the likes of protein, you're talking muscle from an animal or a plant. You know, your poultry, your fish, your beef, your whatever. For your carb, you're then going to go grains. So your pasta, your rice, your potato, sweet potato, etc. So that's when you're talking. But then you'll get a lot of foods that are a combination of this stuff. Now, the combinations of your proteins and your fats, fine. But the where the issue lies is when people go to these as a protein source, is that fats actually have more calories per gram than proteins and carbs. So protein and carbohydrates contain 4 calories for every 1 gram. Fats contain 9. So that's 2.25 times the size in terms of calorie amount compared to proteins and carbs. So if you go to a fat for your protein source, it still may, let's call it healthy, it still may be healthy, but now you've bumped your calories way up. So if you want protein, go for a protein source. You want some carbs, go for a carb source. If you want fats, go for a fat source. And if you get an added bonus of protein, that's a better way to look at it. So go to those for fats. And if you get some extra protein from it, brilliant. Now, where the issue lies as well is that most of the stuff that we like are carb and fat mixture. Carbs and
I
fats.
love carbs. I fucking
chocolate.
I love carbs.
Everyone does. Everyone does. But it's the likes of your carbs and fats. So that's your chocolate, your crisps, your buns, your cookies, blah, 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 blah. And the fats that are in those are called trans fats, which are the bad boys.
Lovely.
All great.
And tell me this, just on that note, then you're talking about the fats and things like that. Do you eat a lot of nuts, Alan?
Okay. Do I eat a lot of nuts? Depends how drunk I am. I'm only doing. Nuts, not nuts per se. I would lean more towards nut butters if I needed it. Where I would have more nuts.
You've ruined my joke, by the way. I'm gonna finish off my joke because you have said yes. I would have said, well, where do you place the cock when you're eating the nuts? Just over the face, just lobbed over the face.
Your joke was shit. Then.
It was. I write my own material. Thank you.
Right. Okay.
But in terms of actual nuts, like seeds, like nuts and seeds, because I used to take, before I went to rugby training, sometimes I'd have taken a handful of nuts.
That's a rugby for you. All those boys love nuts.
Thinking it'd give me good energy. Would it be?
Yeah.
Would you? What's the best thing? So say somebody's going to do a workout, and they feel like they need a wee energy boost just before they do it. What would be the best thing to eat just before a workout, just to give you that wee bit of energy, just to get through it?
Eating before workouts, right? So
if you're hungry, you know what I mean. You're not gonna eat your dinner before a workout, but sometimes you're hungry and you go, "Fuck, I just don't feel like I've got the energy to do this. I need something to give me a bit of fuel here to get me through it."
Right. So this is one of those questions where it's a very kind of, it depends. Now, it's not to fob it off, but it depends. It depends on the person. So let's say we're actually going to eat something. I'll get to another point after that. Remind me to come back to it about energy. If you're actually wanting to eat something, the textbook answer is about an hour and a half to 2 hours prior to exercise, and to try and keep it a balanced meal. Now, the thing is that if I say, for example, I had to eat 2 hours before exercise, there's every chance that I could still be low on energy coming up to exercise, because my body might, have already kind of hit that wee energy spike and come back down, depending on obviously what you're eating. But there's people I know can literally be eating coming into a session and feel fine. For others, if they're eating close to exercise, it feels like it's there, or they might get a stitch, that type of thing, and put them off.
Yeah.
This is where I would encourage people to try a wee bit of trial and error. What works for one person might not work for another. My way is, if I was slightly hungry before a workout, my energy levels, like I'm not a type of person that would train fasted. Don't even get me started on that. It's a train fasted. It makes me feel horrible, and I'm constantly in my head then thinking I've no fuel, which is then more detrimental to my workout. So I would have something like a bit of fruit or a protein shake to have something in my belly. I can do that about 45, 50 minutes away from a workout and feel okay. If it had anything more than that, it would feel heavy in my stomach. My body's too busy trying to digest that, and there's a lot of blood flow then not going to the muscles, it's going to my digestive system to help digest the food. That's when I might run into the likes of cramp or stitch or feeling like shit.
Yeah, I felt like shit loads by eating. I sort of felt like I had to eat before I trained for a long, long time, and I would have
Yeah.
had sweet potato, chicken, broccoli, like a
Mm.
meal about an hour before I trained, and then I went to training, and then my training suffered actually. And
Yeah.
recently, what I've been doing is I've been training about just because I can now, but I've been training about sort of 5 o'clock. So I've been eating my lunch at about 1 or 2, and then I'm fine. Do you know what? Maybe sometimes I'll take after a train. I'll have 3 or 4 wine gums actually, just to
Yeah.
replace the sugars,
Yeah.
and that's it. That does me.
Or you could have a bit of fruit, Robert.
I could, but wine gums are delicious.
More
Nothing,
substantial, bit of fiber and your carbohydrates.
nothing is, and just on that though, like just to back up your point, I suppose more than anything, there's sometimes where I would train, and there's been times where I've trained so hard that I'm feeling going to pass out afterwards, and I feel dizzy, and there's nothing that brings me round as fast as an apple.
Yeah.
Just an apple, and it just boom fixes my wagon
Sugar.
straight away.
See, the likes of your, let's call them more high sugar things, the likes of your berries, your apple, that type of thing, a banana if you chew it well, these kind of things will get that sugar into your bloodstream fairly quickly. Okay. And it's that's helping to bring you back up and make you feel somewhat normal again. Generally takes between 15 and 30 minutes for that to kind of actually properly feel that it's working. Same as if you're in a gym. This, we've all been there. Like you're fucking some kind of pale grey white color. You're shaking like a shitting dog, and you're lying wondering what happened to your life. Something. Don't fire a lot of sugars into you, because you can go from low to high very quick, and it feels just as bad, and it's not that safe. Just chew well on a wee bit of fruit or something, or if you've only got a few wee sweets or something there, and
What about a
then
protein
crack on.
shake or something like that? Would there be enough sugars in that if you've got one? Because I'm just thinking of somebody that's maybe has some well, when you're at home, it's completely different now. But
Yeah.
whenever we're back in the gym and you do hit a wee crash, because that's happened to me loads of times.
Yeah.
Would a protein shake do that for you with a bit of sugar in that?
Short answer is yes. However, it would depend on the type of protein shake, because some like mass gaining shakes have excess carbohydrates and stuff in them. Let's stick with your standard whey protein. It will, however, it will take longer. The simple fact of the matter is that it's carbs that, as a food group, affect your blood sugar level the most, because in their simplest form, i.e. broken down to their smallest kind of particles as such, are sugar, a form of sugar, depending obviously on what carb you're breaking down, but it will form sugar, and that's what affects your blood sugar levels and creates then that insulin response. Not to get too scientific about it, you may have heard of the likes of hormones such as insulin, glucagon, etc. These are the things that come in and stabilize kind of blood sugar levels by, for example, insulin. When insulin is released by the pancreas, it will undergo a lot of processes obviously in the body. The effect that it has on certain organs will pull sugar from the bloodstream into storage capacity within your muscles and liver tissue. I think it's about 400 grams of storage capacity. It's a finite space. It doesn't really expand as such. And anything that's left over essentially undergoes a process that essentially converts it to body fat, because it can be stored then. Because we can't have a lot of sugar floating about in our bloodstream because it's toxic. So when it's taken from the blood essentially and shuttled into the storage space, if that storage space is full, it will undergo a process to be able to store it elsewhere. And when it's getting stored elsewhere, it's either on your hips, your arse, or whatever, your belly. It's stored down as body fat. But that's what creates that response.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. I just knew if you just eat loads of sweeties, you get I get big love handles. Just straight in the love handles. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Nowhere else. Some people's belly, my belly doesn't go out forward. I go like a muffin. You know.
That's why it's called a muffin top.
Well,
But here
true.
to kind of go on to answer, because your initial answer was about energy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we've kind of covered about food. Now, food wise, that will be dependent person by person. However, if it's just a quick boost of energy you need before a workout, then one of the best things, if you're not too sensitive to it, is caffeine. So work your weight out in kilos and aim for between 3 to 6 grams per kilogram of body weight for caffeine. If you're sensitive to it, obviously go on the lower end of that
So
scale.
what does sensitive to it look like?
So
How do
people
you
that are
know?
sensitive to caffeine might display symptoms such as headache, irritability, anxiousness, that type of thing.
You get all
Or
jittery.
like their heart rate would just literally, beat
I've had
like that.
coffees before and been jittery. Like bought them in when I've been in work in the office and nipped out and got a coffee from somewhere where I usually don't get a coffee from.
Yeah.
The coffee's been stronger or I've had a couple of coffees.
The
And I'm
thing
like
about,
all
sorry, go
jittery
ahead.
as fuck. Just jittery. Now that's it. I was done.
Talking about jitters, caffeine. So when you're having caffeine, don't just jump in. If you're not really a regular coffee drinker or have products that have caffeine in it, like your chocolate, your fizzy drinks and stuff have a small amount. Don't just jump in and have a lot of caffeine, especially from coffee. Excuse me, because it can have a detrimental effect in terms of making you feel quite bad and low in energy and jittery. So if you go, let's take coffee, because everyone knows coffee has caffeine, or I'd like to think most people know coffee has caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're trying to get all your caffeine needs from just coffee, and say you're going to increase that, if you say, for example, go, right, I'm going to have 3 espressos instead of 1, then you best be near a fucking toilet, because you're going to be walking like a duck for the next hour, because you're going to shit yourself. The thing is that when people go to coffee and get a wee buzz, that's fine. But if you're wanting it to have like performance increasing benefits, you're going to have to increase that intake. The thing is that, say to get this amount of caffeine, just to highlight my point from this amount of coffee, right? To get this amount of caffeine, you're going to have to drink this amount of coffee. Now, the thing is that coffee has something like 100 other compounds within it. So when you increase your actual intake of coffee, you're also increasing the amount of intake of those other compounds, and that's what's just going to make your bowels go.
Why does
So
it's those other compounds in the morning whenever you have your coffee and it's like a trigger. It's like
here we go.
It's you
That's
just
it.
Ding, and it just makes you shit.
So before going in for a heavy deadlift or squatting session and having had 4 espressos for the first time,
squirting out
on your 3rd rep, you're going to shit yourself.
Brilliant. Does that ever happen to you?
Have I ever shit myself?
While deadlifting because of drinking too much coffee?
A wee fart slipped out, like, on the odd occasion. But you have to understand there's a lot of pressure going through the body. I have no issue saying that. It's also happening clients as well.
I've shit myself because I've drank too much Guinness the night before and then returned to drinking the next day.
Yeah, I had experienced the 7s once. Yeah, so that was many moons ago. How to get rid of the boxer shorts?
I'm glad you get rid of the boxer shorts.
We
socks hopefully as well.
We're only in our early 20s once, Robert.
Well, some people go there, get the our age now and they've never shit themselves, so they haven't fucking lived. So talking
Can I
about
make a wee quick point before we move on from shitting ourselves? You hear nowadays a lot of people talk about glute and glute activation and how their glutes aren't activated and shit like that. If your glutes aren't activated or activating, you'll shit yourself. So if you're not shitting yourself, your glutes are activated to a certain degree. Okay, we can move on.
So, hold on. What? Like, explain that to me. So,
right. So, see when you stand up,
yeah,
your glutes will be activated. When they're activated. Okay.
So
you might not be clenched, but they're activated. And
right.
for your butthole to work properly, your glutes are activated.
Right. Okay. Right,
for your bowels to essentially work properly, they will need to be activated. So glute activation, what you might mean to say is you need to strengthen your glutes because they're lazy as fuck because you sit in your arse all day. Yeah. but no, your glutes are activated
I feel like
unless you
that's a
were.
direct attack on me. But I've got a nice bum, so
It's quite peachy.
it is. It's peachy. So moving on from one of the things I did want to talk about. So basically, what to do is you're basically, in its absolute basic form, you're saying get off your arse and move, do something. You'll find programs online if you just want to get a bit of a sweat up. If you want to do something that is, if you want to get real gains from this, contact a trainer like you.
Mhm.
And like this isn't a sales pitch, I know, obviously, but I don't know anybody better, so I'm sure you're.
Thank you, Robert.
I'm sure you're. How can somebody get in touch with you? Anyway, just very quickly.
Via Facebook page or Instagram, although I don't really use my Instagram for posts much. I just use it for my stories, really, because it connects to my business page on Facebook. But
Yeah.
Allan Davison on Facebook, that's fine.
Cool.
But I would just encourage anyone to just do something. Again, motivation's not going to come up and hit you in the face, but I also know that people are in different situations. Some may find it tougher, but at the same time, what I'd like to stress and what I've said to every single client of mine is that there's no way on this earth that people can seriously think that not seeing family and friends, drinking every day, and eating shit food, that at the other end of this, we're going to feel better and not in a worse mindset or mind frame.
Yeah.
What I think a huge part of this situation, especially in Northern Ireland, maybe even Belfast in particular, but especially Northern Ireland, that even before this, like, mental health was such a massive, massive issue. And I think that at the other end of this, or coming out the other side of this, it's going to be even worse. And I know I'm going to get probably a bit of hate for it, but I think a lot of people just fucking aren't helping themselves. It's a holiday to some. But I can also empathize that, yeah, we live our lives, a lot of folk, 24/7, flat to the mat. And it has kind of been like for a week or two, it was like, here, this is fucking great. We get a bit of extra time in the house.
It's great if, and this is where my thinking lies on it, it's, people do treat it like a holiday. People do think it's great if you're not a frontline worker. Like if you're not in the hospital seeing it firsthand, you don't know, or you don't know anybody that's been very, very sick with this, then it is great. Or God forbid, you haven't lost anybody to it, then it is great. If you don't know anybody that's had this disease and suffered with it, and I think obviously Boris Johnson's on the news, or he was every night, sort of doing the press conferences and things. Him getting it was a bit of an eye opener for people, I think.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people don't know anybody that's had it. And a lot of people don't know somebody that's been very, very sick or that has been in hospital. So they don't understand that it is serious. So they do treat it as a holiday. And there are some treat it as a holiday. But at the same time, what I'm not saying is shit yourself, freak out, be worried, be scared. Make the most of this time. And that's why we're doing this podcast. It's for people to go, it's to say to people, and we know people are doing it, or just sitting drinking every day and eating every day and not really training and things like that. This is a cry to say, get the fuck off your hole and because mental health is a big one here. Go ahead.
It's the sheer amount of, now, again, because I don't want this to come across as hypocritical. Like, I've done it myself, and I have been doing it myself. Keeping the thought of leaving this in a good mental state, like for the first week and a half of the full lockdown, like, I'm self-employed. I had the thought of everything I'd worked for 15 years. It was like a rug being pulled out from under my feet. Gym closed. Clients didn't know what the hell they were doing, didn't know what way was up, because some lost their jobs, some had kids to look after, didn't know what was going to happen with like their wife or their husband. So like for a week and a half there, I was on the booze and all as well. But then there's like, and I still drink the all day, of course, and obviously with you boys in the Xbox and stuff. But I think in the grand scheme of things, we need to look at the bigger picture, not necessarily training or going on to a new healthy diet, but not trying to almost make new bad habits, so that when we are back to some form of normality, we now have people that are drinking more and finding it hard to cut out, people that are smoking more and finding it hard to cut out, people eating more shit and finding it hard to cut out, on top of going back to work. Maybe they've lost their job, trying to find a new job, whatever their family or home situation is, or God help if anyone's sick. That is now all the stresses and strains of everyday life will then be piled back on top, and it's not going to be forgiving. Whereas when we're sitting at home each day, some with a lot of times, some not. When we sit at home each day, it's hard to look ahead and actually go, do you know what? Will I be okay at the end of this? Because they don't know. All they see is that, hey, I don't get this free time much. I'm gonna utilize it. And it's like, what are you utilizing it for? Is it going to make you better? Is it going to make you worse in the long run? And I'm all for people having their fun. I'm all for it. Like I honestly like barbecues, quizzes. It's all great. I'm not saying people stop all that shit. But if you find
If
yourself
anything, it's
now,
important. I think it's as important to do as to stay fit and active and healthy too, is to have, to try and socialize or
oh,
enjoy the sun or get a bit of vitamin
yeah,
D.
yeah, that's why I said not being hypocritical about it, because like I'm on these wee quizzes, I'm drinking with people as well, but like going from, to put it into perspective, let's say people in their late 20s, even not even as old as us, might still go out once a week. That might still at that age, you might not. Let's say you were going out once a week before. The Saturday night was your holy grail. You spent your fucking week looking forward to your Saturday. Now these people are having a Saturday 3-4 times a week.
Yeah.
Like there's no way you can think that's going to be good for you. So yeah, the social side of it, yeah, good, but just watch, because at the end of this, a lot of people are going to be caught short. The stresses and strains of running a household, maybe trying to find a job, maybe if they've got kids, and trying to earn money is going to land on top, and they've now got to deal with all this on the side as well. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah. And what are you doing yourself? Because you're saying there about, being self-employed, and, there was that week where you sort of didn't know what was going on and there was anxieties and worries there. So it's obvious how you felt during that. What did you do to cope, to get over that?
Drink. I
Get
didn't
off
know
the
it. Like
drink.
no, I did. I wallowed in my own self pity for a good week and
Which
a
is,
half.
and look, again, that's okay too. Sometimes it's nearly healthy just to feel sorry for yourself a little bit,
Yeah.
and allow yourself to feel sorry for yourself,
Yeah.
But not
Was.
you have to get out of it. You have to pull yourself out of that rut too, don't you?
It was difficult because I feel an obligation to my clients as well, and part of me was like, no, because the thing is, in my job, I don't want this to come across the wrong way, as if I don't care. It's like you are almost to some a part-time counselor as well.
Oh,
And I don't mean that in a bad way. You are that neutral territory where, you know, they might have some issues at home, or they might have some issues at work, and they might not want to talk to their husband or wife about it, or they might not want to talk to their work colleagues or their friends, because they know what way their friends might react or something. So they talk to me. And it's like you feel up, you're almost like, I'm sitting here, how can I help these folk? What can I do? You know, their escape for that week is gone. And it's like, it was, part of it was just fried about how am I going to continue to do this, because it wasn't that I didn't have anything to offer them. It was the fact that usually it's me saying, right, okay, we need to do this, or let them talk to me, but it was out of my control. They lost their job, or their husband lost their job. Their kids were no longer in daycare. They didn't know how they were going to pay mortgage or rent. So their problems went from here to here. I couldn't get them to help because they were no longer, like, that week was, everyone was just gone. It was gone. And I was like, what am I going to do here? Now, fortunately, because I've been in this game a long time, I had money behind me. it wasn't a case of going, how am I going to afford my mortgage? Like, one of the first things I did was turn around and hand Amy like 4 months of mortgage and food. And she's on maternity as well, as you know. Like, so it's like, it's a mad situation, but how I kind of got my head wrapped around it after I'd kind of wallowed in my own self-pity was I still had something extremely, beneficial to offer. I transferred a lot of people onto my online work, and what was my driving force behind it was knowing how I was still able to help, but from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what kept me going. And seeing, like, right now, like, online clients are absolutely crushing it. So everything's just kind of went back to normality, kind of, for me. Exercise wise, I actually think I am doing even better now. Not, well, how can I phrase this? I'm doing better, but it's not the type of workouts I want to do.
Yeah.
I find that my consistency and everything's better. My headspace around the workouts is better. And I feel that it's simply because we've had the opportunity, without all distraction, to actually get some better structure to my life, because mine was frantic beforehand. It was early morning starts in the gym and dealing with online clients and trying to fit my own training in and spend time with friends, family, you name it. And you know how flipping many hours I put in. Like, now this has been an opportunity for me to step back and actually.
But on top of all of that, you had a baby too.
Yeah.
that. So you're self-employed. You're doing all of this while having a 6-month-old child as well.
Yeah. It's
and
tight
then
enough.
worrying about him and his, worrying about the child and worrying about all that. So, and do you think the actually doing the exercises yourself helps you deal with everything that's going on in the head and trying to juggle all of this? Do you feel like that it helps you cope in a way, I guess?
I don't want to use the word cope, because I see it as another way. It helps me be more productive, which in turn, when everything in my life runs more like a well-oiled machine, that's my way of kind of coping as such.
Yeah.
Because when I'm training, I'll give you an example. When I'm kind of doing a physical workout, my mind's blank, and I have a tendency to kind of overthink. So I'll get an idea, I'll overthink about it, I'll make notes about it, I'll research about it, I'll almost go down a rabbit hole of doing too much with that one thing, and it gets so scattered that then I'll have, by the end of it, 10 different things to actually do, and the to-do list becomes massive.
Yeah.
So when I'm working out, that's a break from me from my working day, because my working day now is doing programs, doing client check-ins, and from a client check-in, I might have gone, right, I'm going to research that for that person, or I'm going to send that link for that video over, and it builds up and builds up. And before I know it, I'm doing a lot more than what was on my to-do list to start.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'll go out, and instead of then going down that rabbit hole further, because I have a tendency to even stay on and do extra hours and do extra work and try and do the best for everybody, I'll go out and it's a complete mind erase, stick the music on, and there's nothing in my head, which then when the workout is over and I'm showered, I've now a fresh perspective, intending to go, actually, I can do that tomorrow for that person. I'll move that to Friday for that person, because they're not expecting it. It's just me wanting to serve them better.
Mm-hmm.
But then something like a run or a walk, which Amy gets pissed off about because I don't do it as often with her, is that sometimes a run for me is I'll go out and I'll put the headphones in and maybe listen to a podcast or a wee bit of music. And getting out, that's more of the kind of inspiration side of things.
Mm-hmm.
When I don't have a laptop in front of me, or I'm not focusing on a workout, that's when my mind will start going, I should do a post about that. I should contact this person about this. I should reach out and offer this for that person, or I might do an ebook on this, or I might do, that's when I start getting creative,
Mm-hmm.
which you can't do when you're out for a walk with your wife and your kid. So trying to balance that stuff up is tough. But the way I see it is you've got Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And you'll have things like, safety, self-actualization, esteem, all that there. And that pyramid is kind of changed slightly as such in this scenario, because yes, we still have the same needs, but the order might be slightly different. And right now, when we're thinking of immunity to things, getting a roof over our heads and keeping it there, that slightly changes now. You know, first thing up is our safety. You know, we need to make sure that we're not passing on a virus, that we're not doing things that are going to put us in harm's way, or potentially passing it on.
Mm-hmm.
So these things are kind of first on the list, and then this all kind of comes in afterwards. But having that kind of wee bit of a structure there is kind of helping me, rather than kind of coping as such. Hope that
Yeah.
made sense.
No, definitely, absolutely. I'm sort of maybe not the opposite. I suppose I might be quite similar, but where you're saying you find you're doing better, like I'm definitely training better than I have for a long time, because you nearly have the time to see, because you're home.
Yeah.
Like my commute every day is a couple of hours, so that time spent training. I get up in the morning after a conversation with you, actually, saying about how I'm making up for the time, and I was like, well, I work in an office, but I didn't. You know, I would have walked to the car, or drove and walked to the office, walked about on my feet quite a bit, actually. And what I've actually done, instead of running, just so I'm not, just because I don't particularly like running, I'm actually going out into the garden every morning whenever I get up, and I'm doing it fasted, by the way. Just because I just do it before breakfast, no other reason. And I'm skipping, just skipping away, just go out for a wee skip, and I've just started small. But in terms of thinking about the mental health side of things, like there was one night where, when this all sort of started, and I've sort of, you know me, I can go from one scale to the other, where I'm extremely laid back or in my own head and get, freak out and be a bit of a hypochondriac at times. But
Yes.
but then other things I don't really, don't care too much about. But there was one night then, and I hadn't really started working out yet. I hadn't really started exercising through all of this yet. And there was one night where, and I think it was the first night where I watched the news, believe it or not, and it was just, this shit thing's happening, this shit thing's happening, this is shit, and I was just like, this has become real. And in fact, the thing that really hit at home then was, I watched the news or something, and then later on I'd watched Ant and Dec's Saturday Night Takeaway, and there was no fucking audience. And I went, what is happening here? And I hadn't really realised, and this is the thing, a lot of people don't, and a lot of people don't really realise what's going on. But that was the news had freaked me out anyway, because I was like, fuck, I hadn't listened to any of the news. And then all of a sudden there was nobody watching Ant and Dec's Takeaway, and I was like,
yeah,
where's the audience? Hold on a second here. What is happening? And then I freaked out, and I freaked out a little bit. A couple of glasses of red wine was chilled me out that night. But then I sat down with my wife and says, right, we're working out from today. Like, I'd like you to do it with me, just to, so if somebody does. She was like, I'd like to as well. And me and her have been training every day since. Not every day, because we take a rest day we train for 3 days and then take a rest day. But I have to train now, otherwise I don't feel as good. I don't feel and if I am feeling down or I'm feeling anxious, because everybody gets anxious, and I think a lot of people sit and think I'm the only person that feels like this, and I'm telling you now, you're not. Everybody gets anxious, and just people don't talk about it as much as they probably should, which is that's a whole other podcast that we can do in the future, is just getting into that whole can of worms.
People in this situation, though, everyone's situation is unique to them and special to them. That's the thing. It's I've got people there with 3 kids can work out, no problem. Yet I've got people there with no kids and are like, I can't do this. It's so much. I can't. And it's like, you can. It's about how we approach things, and people's environment will shape how they approach that. So what they're seeing on their social media, or what they're getting from their friends, even if they don't watch the news, that's shaping their perception of this virus. Now, on the subject of your exercise and your nutrition, I know not many people will be like, oh yeah, gotta train. But your immunity, so your diet and your exercise will help with your immunity. as in how effective your body will be at fighting something if it got it. It fights stuff all the time. You know, it's something that goes in. Like if I picked up an apple and ate it, like there's germs on my hands that will go into my body. The hydrochloric acid in your stomach will kill that off essentially. Granted, not all germs, but most. But if you're doing some exercise, and this is where we need to get people to take, I don't want to say their heads or their asses, you need to stop just thinking about themselves, is that if, for example, you're doing some exercise and you're eating well and you're sticking to these protocols, if your immune system is stronger from exercise and eating well, then you're not going to have any illness for as long as what you would have had prior to that.
You're just giving
So
yourself a fighting chance, aren't you? Really, giving you, if you do end
it's
up
not
sick.
even, but it's not even that. It's like you think everyone is suffering at the minute for something mentally. Not seeing family, not seeing friends. That's two of the big ones. Not being able to get out and about and do what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
What's one of the reasons that we're not seeing these people? In case we catch or pass on this virus that we don't know we have. However, if our immune systems are stronger, then we're not going to be carrying that around for as long. Meaning that, yeah, there's a reason why we're not seeing these people. So if I know in myself, it's like, let's say I was allowed to see my mum who's immunocompromised and stuff. Let's say I was allowed to see her and I had a strong immune system and I knew I had that COVID. But I knew that through that exercise and all that I wasn't going to have it as long. I'd be going happy days. Thank God for that, because I can see mum in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you get someone who's unhealthy and doing nothing to help themselves, well, how long are they going to have? How long is it going to take their body to fight that? How long is it going to take them to recover properly from it? Because they're just a sack of shit, you know? And then they'll be like, oh, I can't see this person, I can't see that person. It's like, well, what have you done to try and fucking help it?
Yeah.
You know, it's
just
it
help
is what
yourself.
It is. Help yourself.
Look, you feel better. Do you know what I started doing as well? I stopped. I haven't been eating as much fresh vegetables, but just because I'm not going to the shop as much, I'm trying to get in. Try and get in once a week. Get a shop to sort of do you for the week, and then that'll do. So I ordered a greens supplement, just in a drink, just stinking. It's meant to taste like mixed berry. Doesn't taste like mixed.
Never does.
Grass
cuttings.
Hammer that. Take a vitamin D, a vitamin C, and a multivitamin, just to try and help with the immune system as well. Just because, why not? If I piss it out and it does nothing for me, at least I'm just trying to do everything I can to help with the immune system. But even when I drink that drink, it tastes stinking. But I swear, I feel better after I drink that, because there's good shit getting into your body. Yeah. You're drinking good stuff and you will feel better.
You need good gut health when doing things like that. Now, your fruit and veg and everything with the fiber content, and even like some potatoes with the skin on and stuff. So basically just good fiber content within your body. If you've got good fiber content, you'll be going to the toilet and all as regular as you should. But also great for gut health. And when we're eating all these lovely healthy diets, how much of that is actually getting absorbed into the bloodstream? And the question for most is, how long was their shitty diet going on for before they went on this good diet? And if it was a long time, then the bacteria within their gut would just not be that great as such, and not a lot of good stuff.
How can you fix that? How can you swing that around then? What can you do to help your gut bacteria get
very, very easily, actually? Just eat a balanced diet with plenty of fruit and veg, because now that it will over time gradually rectify that, and then obviously the likes of your green strength and stuff will then add to that benefit. You'll get more benefit from it if your gut is in better shape. Does that make sense? Whereas you get someone whose diet is still shit, but they've bought a greens drink, it's not going to do fuck all. So then you've got other things like your pre and probiotics. Depending on the ones you actually get, you just try and populate the gut the best you can, and then that should essentially do. Ones that you need to keep doing over and over and over, I think, is just not.
Yeah, I was taking probiotics for a while and then just stopped. The only thing that I've the only thing I really stuck with consistently was the vitamin D tablets, just because we don't
Everyone
get
needs
just
that.
because I just work in an office, so
Yeah.
I stopped the multivitamins for a while. It was actually hurting my stomach, the multivitamin that I was taking.
Right.
I know some can just irritate your stomach a little bit, and then I got a new one there, and it's been fine.
Yeah.
So the one I was taking was like a big horse tranquilizer tablet, and it was one a day, whereas I got ones that are smaller, spread over 3 times a day,
Yeah.
and I just seem to be fine.
On the topic of gut health, though, just if anyone's listening, antibiotics pretty much wipe out the good bacteria in your gut, and you'll need to repopulate that again, essentially. So the likes of your probiotics and things like that would be more beneficial at that stage.
Yeah, so
Also, the likes of digestive enzymes helping to break your stuff down.
So if anybody's is sick now, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that have been sick and have been given antibiotics, possibly, especially recently. Well, we're just coming out of flu season anyway, so there's been people sick with flu, sick with everything.
It'll be back. It'll be back, and all this will be back as well, because obviously no vaccine and stuff yet, but obviously people haven't really built up much immunity, and the next flu season that does hit, then
that's it. So look, we can sort of wrap this up here, but just to close off then, so where do you see the opportunity for people here? Because look, again, we started this podcast off saying there's loads of negative shit happening right now that we could focus on, but let's focus on something positive. Let's finish this with something positive. What do you feel is the opportunity right now for people during all of this?
Opportunity. Now, obviously this will have different approaches because people are in different situations, with obviously, some people being at work, some people not, blah, 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 blah. So to those who find themselves with all the time in the world and very little to do, this is a massive opportunity that they'll probably never ever get again, in the fact that pretty much life has paused to allow you to catch up. Most of your stresses and strains from everyday life are no longer a distraction to you. So you can now afford to kick on and actually try and do something with that time. You can spend more time with your family, friends, and, like doing the online things. You can maybe take up a hobby that you've never done before. You can focus on your health, your nutrition. You can dial in on aspects of your life that were always kind of further down the list because you had work to go to and all that there. Because right now as well, unless you're fucking blowing a lot of shit doing online shopping, most are getting help from the government now, or should be in the near future. Some are furloughed from their jobs, meaning you're getting 80% of your pay. You've got the likes of mortgage holidays, you've got interest-free loans and all that there. It's like, so right now, you might still have worries, but you can do nothing about that right now. Worries for what lies ahead. But right now, you've got some money in your bank account, you've nowhere to spend it, apart from Tesco's or the local shop, and you've got a lot of time in your hands, so use it wisely. Those that do find themselves with, say, like their kids and all still at home, I understand, obviously, because a lot of the ladies I train are mums, I understand that it isn't necessarily still time off for yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
However, we can take some positives from it. There's time now where you were at work where you missed a lot of your little ones growing up and developing. Things, for me as a daddy, say, for example, things that it used to be, out all day, maybe doing 14 hours of work, coming downstairs, and my wee boys now learn to like grab a dummy. That used to miss stuff like that. No, it may not feel like a holiday because you might have 3 toddlers running about the house all under the age of 5, and you might be ready to pull your hair out, but try and take positives from it. Doing the activities together that you might not have had time to do before, doing a wee bit of baking, doing some activities together, even if it's like Joe Wicks PT, doing a wee workout, going for a walk together. It's see an opportunity like that to spend around your family and spending in your home, taking time to catch up. Those that are still working, hats off to you, because obviously if you're still working, you have a job that's important to us right now.
Absolutely.
This is a time for you to take all the plaudits that you deserve essentially. It's also a time to kind of understand what is going on, and you'll either just be going from work or to a shop and home. So if you're working and you understand what's going on in the outside world, say you're a nurse and you see the badness of what's happening, if you're working in shops and you're seeing the changes that have had to be made, then no doubt you're coming home and you have a different perspective on what your home life is right now compared to what it was before. And you're probably more willing to spend that wee bit of extra time, watching TV with your partner when you might have pissed off and played the Xbox before. It's you're probably a lot more appreciative of what you had before. Being able to walk down to your mum and dad, spend some time with them, being able to see your friends for a pint in the bar, meeting your friends for a coffee. So an appreciation of all those things is, I hope, what comes out of all of this. And I hope that for a lot of people, their priorities might be swung into a slightly different way compared to what it was when we entered this. I said it was a great saying. I got it from someone else, can't remember who otherwise would say it, but yeah, it's like life has paused to allow us to catch up and realize what is truly important and what is not.
I think that's a good way to end it, mate. Love that. That's really, really nice way to end it. So, Alan, thank you very much for doing this.
Man.
I'm sure we'll get you. We'll be back. I'm sure next time we'll do it. We'll maybe just talk a bit of shit instead of about
like the size of my sweat patches from sitting here.
They're probably the same. So look here, tell everybody again how they can find you. If anybody does want one of your programs or want to contact you for your help, how can somebody get in touch with you?
Just look for Allan Davison on Facebook, Allan Davison, or Allan Davison Health and Fitness. And you can find me there, drop me a wee message, or you can go via the Dedicated Fitness page, as I'm a trainer in Dedicated Fitness Belfast.
Brilliant. Listen, thank you very much. We shall
You're welcome.
talk soon.
Adios.
All right. Bye-bye.